Well, it's a bit strange. They one day they're talking about having stricter gun control, and the next they're over there talking about getting funding from NRA. So it's a bit hard to work out what position they have. Pauline was also talking about not accepting any donations from foreign organisations.
It's not an uncommon thing in the US for a political party to accept a donation from the NRA. Was that something that you would consider here, accepting a donation from the NRA or an Australian gun lobby?
We'd have to have a look at it, but all parties need funding. So if somebody, genuine people, are funding us, then fine. We need it to do an advertising campaign.
So you don't think what One Nation did was necessarily a bad thing or an evil thing?
Not really. I can't see any problem except for the fact that they said one thing and then they did another thing. So that's a bit of a strange situation.
Do you think Australia's gun laws should be weakened?
Absolutely. Every nation that's disarmed its population eventually oppressed them. So I don't know if you remember, but in 2012 the Venezuelans were disarmed. By 2016 they were eating cats and dogs because they're starving, and in 2019 they're being shot by their own government because they tried to access the food that Donald Trump sent down there.
Was there talk when you were in One Nation about going to a US gun lobby looking for donations?
No.
So what do you think inspired this?
Who knows? They need money, I guess. They want more money.
Do you think it's been led by Pauline Hanson or these two other men?
I wouldn't want to comment. I don't know whose idea it was, but I know they're always chasing funds.
And just going back to what you said before about the gun laws, I guess someone would, to play a bit of devil's advocate, they would say there's been no gun massacres in Australia since those laws were enacted after the Port Arthur massacre by John Howard. Is that hard evidence to deal with when you're saying you should be weakening the laws here?
Well, that's not really right. They've changed the criteria. There's been more gun crime since then than there ever was. So for people to say that there hasn't been any gun crime, every day in Sydney and Melbourne there's a shooting pretty much every day.
What would be your perfect solution to gun crime?
Well, it'd be nice to have no criminals, but the problem is that all the criminals have guns, and by disarming the population doesn't really make you any safer. We've now got bloody Sudanese and people kicking people's doors in Melbourne and Sydney, and they've got no way to defend themselves. And I think it's everyone's right to be able to defend themselves and their family. So,
what lessons have you learnt from the New South Wales state election?
That the two major parties are on the nose a bit. People have had enough of being told what to do and not having a say in what happens in this country. So I brought a bill into Parliament a few months ago to give the Australian people a say in who comes to this country. For 45 years they've never had a say. So I think it's high time the Australian people got to vote on whether they want to be bringing more and more of these people into the country who attack us on a daily basis.
You mean Muslims?
Muslims and Sudanese, yeah, absolutely.
I guess in light of that, if you were to make that law, would that law be retrospective? Would you be also looking to send people back who are Muslim who have previously arrived here or previously immigrated here?
Anyone who commits a crime in this place that's a guest of the Australian people who are living off our welfare, and you commit a crime, they should all go home and with their family, because their family is obviously not controlling them.
What about if they haven't committed a crime?
If they haven't committed a crime, I don't see that we need to have any people in this country that don't integrate, and unfortunately the Muslims to a large extent don't. So I don't think I've yet to see a country where we've had Muslim immigration and we've had peace. They attack us, and eventually, like Great Britain and like France and like Germany and particularly Sweden. Sweden's a basket case now because of their indiscriminate immigration policy. It's been a disaster. It's the rape capital of the world now. I don't think Australians want to live like that.
So would you like to see Australia just tell every Muslim immigrant that's come here in the past to go home, essentially?
Me personally, yes.